We all know it's healthy to have a variety of hobbies and interests, such as diamonds, casual bathing, explosions, radioactive snakes, honeymooners, RC helicopters, and barely contained bulges. In my careful study of the masterpieces of subtlety from yesteryear, I've found many similar lessons contained therein. Rules, if you will, that, when laid out, come together cohesively in somewhat of a guide. Perhaps a guide to enhanced well-being that lays out a foundation upon which you may cultivate a life worthy of emulation. Life lessons of a sort your father would have taught you if he wasn't an ignorant bitch. As we begin our educational journey, we open over a beautiful sunrise, or set, somewhere over the contiguous United States, before establishing ourselves at the prestigious Ala Moana Yacht Club, where all the high-class sluts come to frolic and play. Here we find the notorious Rowdy Abilene trying to convince his lady Donna of why she shouldn't try to advance her career.
Drug enforcement is no job for a girl like you.
By that he means the girl who is about to receive his gift. The next morning finds Henry and his protege off to give the local family of weed proprietors their yearly slap on the wrist. It's mostly for show, as the agents do enjoy a friendly kickback. But what they roll up on is no family operation, unless, that is, it is normal to have a family comprised of equivalently aged white men. They choose to play it cool and retreat submissively, but become ensnared in the process. Unfortunately for them, these douchers have become so smug with their success that human life literally means nothing to them, as demonstrated here. With all of that, we've only just made it to the opening credit sequence, and I am exhausted. But don't worry, there's plenty more to come. We're going to be graced by the presence of Joseph Hugh and Peter Bromelo at some point. But not everything's happy-go-lucky in this warehouse of names and professional titles. At one point, a careless forklift operator accidentally strips this dangerous cargo of its warning straps, transforming this into a crate full of a potentially friendly, hand-fed giant snake. When we come full circle back to the beach, we find Donna with her ward Taryn. Through expositional showering, we learn that this was her promotion to drug enforcement, guarding over young Taryn, who is under witness protection for snitching on the mob. Taryn discovers that she's a civilian agent helping Donna keep her cover as some sort of sleeveless commando who is infiltrating the local drug trade as an employee of the Molokai Cargo Company. As a top employee, she gives the boss a little sugar before greeting the honeymooning couple that they will be transporting along with the giant snake. After a cursory check of the old bird, expertly undertaken by folks only pretending to be pilots, they're cleared for takeoff into the great blue yonder, a flight that seems to take place in real time within the movie. Back at the warehouse, Sly Dixon notices the broken straps and uncovers a significant snake mix-up. By taking a moment to give Derek and Boner a vicious tongue lashing over their error, he ensures that the flight has already touched down before he can warn them that they're transporting a toxic radioactive snake. The ladies are too busy dropping the lovebirds off at their secluded primitive campsite before promising to pick them up the next day. We then check in with luxury yacht enjoyer and illegal drug aficionado Mr. Chang, who has a very clever and streamlined means of paying his gentlemen employees whilst avoiding the attention of any customs officers. Of course, this immediately attracts the attention of the ladies, because transporting cargo is their passion, causing the men to bust when they come upon them, and the ladies to commence chucking in various ways. This is, of course, life lesson rule 132. There is no melee weapon that can't be made more effective by turning it into a projectile. They're then so diligent in ploinking the evidence and hauling ass out of there that they leave one payment module behind. The men, now bloody and infuriated, do not notice. Following strict cargo protocols, they stash the undelivered biological specimen in their garage, so they can go have a good deep think about the day's events while relaxing in the jacuzzi. At about that time, the boys roll up to Edie's and let their boss, Seth Romero, in on the bad news about the unsupervised liaison with the remote-controlled helicopter. He takes this poorly.
If brains were virgins, you'd have a clean cage.
and pledges vengeance against those who have wronged him. Back in the tub, as the ladies become acquainted with their new best friends, they realize that they've almost certainly been identified, and that they'll need Rowdy to help extricate them from these dangerous circumstances. Speaking of Rowdy, he and his main boy Jade are busy getting in some training, although the content of their workout seems to imply that the graceful art of karate primarily consists of cheap grab-assery. Not long after they finish their morning frolic, the sushi man rides up to deliver their ham sandwich, which is raw. It's actually a super clever way of delivering the daily news from the agency, in this case confirming in very non-specific language that there is trouble a-brewin'. At the shack, a little poster talk confirms these movies are part of a broader cinematic universe, so I might have done better to examine them in order. Oopsies. And then a little girl talk.
So tell me the truth about Rowdy. How's his stuff?
He's got 4 inches.
4 inches? That's not so hot.
Oh.
Yes, it is. I measured him from the ground up.
I am devastated. We can take solace, however, in a recounting of life lesson Rule 44, which encourages us not to worry about 4 inches because all measurements are relative. But we have to move past this as some rascal cuts the phone line and attempts to abduct Taryn. Meanwhile, another assailant menacingly brandishes his 3-inch pig sticker and demands the location of the diamonds. She's able to stay cool and calm under pressure, telling him they are stashed away at the hangar, creating enough of a distraction to allow her to apply some karate to his ballsack. Taryn elects to fight back only after revealing the location of the diamonds, which is righteous since they weren't really theirs to begin with. During all this confusion, the snake is able to escape. Only when they all converge is the revelation officially made that there is a second missing container of diamonds. The assumption that they know the location buys the ladies a slightly longer lease on life. They are granted a greater reprieve when Seth sees the snake from afar and absolutely freaks out about it, causing his goons to come running.
Go ahead, I'm okay.
Things are getting a bit surreal, so they elect to regroup at a secondary location, but not for long. Donna is unable to let this transgression go and falls into an absolute rage, chases after the assailants, and straight up shoots Pretty Boy Romero in the grill, shocking us all as we were all just having some lighthearted fun up until now. They go to assess the damage while we learn that Dixon's flaccid bleatings about an aggressive radioactive snake mix-up are still unheard by human ears. If only they knew, they surely wouldn't be casually reminiscing and deciding that what really slaps after violently maiming an attacker is a light lunch at your favorite restaurant. They sit down with Edie to learn all she knows about diamonds and Seth Romero, which is almost nothing. So they supplement with a phone call out to Rowdy while being observed surreptitiously, which is the most dangerous kind. The plan is that he and Jade will fly out to meet them the next day, and before then, the ladies will go gather some intel on Seth's operation. Michelle immediately fills Seth in while his wounds are being lightly dabbed. On the way out, they run across none other than sports broadcaster Jimmy John Jackson, a gentleman Taryn had met before and was hoping to meet again. They end up walking all night and through the next day as if engaged in some sort of tantric pre-fatigue ritual before finally bedding down the following sunset. The next morning, as her obligations drag her away, the boys finally arrive with their travel trunk full of toys, as they imply coyly, which is Rule 38.
By the way, we will bring our trunk of toys.
Boys love toys. While heading inland, they're careful to avoid a madman who has apparently succumbed to reefer psychosis. We come to learn this is just to get them used to his presence as he and a confidant pass them so he can have another run, this time with a shotgun obscured by an inflatable friend. The perfect plan. Perfect so long as you don't get so involved in celebrating inflicting a minor flesh wound that you give your enemy enough time to pop you up into the air and use a rocket to induce a full torso inversion, which is a term of art in the medical field. They also blow up his doll, and since they've basically made it like he never existed, they proceed as though nothing ever happened. In a brief interlude, we find our two young perverts on the beach partaking in typical honeymoon activities when they become victims of the runaway snake. Once Jade gets his titty patched up, they call Edie to let her know her Jeep is non-functional. She quickly leaves the store in Michelle's hands and jets out, but her departure changes Michelle's plans and she promptly calls in the wrecking crew before ducking into the dressing room. Emerging now is Michael, a game-changing fascinating reveal, I'm sure. They manage to take a shortcut through a field to cut her off and take her into their possession. No, yeah, even though it feels like it's been 5 days, the girls still need to go to Seth's beach house. They creep up with their Nox and Handycam, taking immediate notice at how seriously the lone guard takes his novelty discus tossing. And then things get real hectic as Mr. Romero touches down right as Edie arrives. Now that they're bursting with intel, they go to reconnoiter with the boys. And since the only payphone is at the local sumo joint, they call Edie's from there. And somehow they're able to put together the whole situation regarding Michelle/Michael. So that's good, I suppose. Before proceeding further, they have professional responsibilities to attend to. They expect to find 2 lovers fornicating on the beach, but instead find a couple of bloody, eviscerated corpses. Sad and disturbing, but that is one thing they can check off their list of subplots to resolve. Eventually, the boys manage to hook their way back to Edie's, where they're told Donna and Taryn are waiting for them at their residence. They make it there by nightfall and immediately begin to gear up for an early morning assault. Outside, the snake becomes allured by the dank hole of their septic system. Luckily,
The snake's own toxins will kill it within the next 36 hours.
so I guess that's yet another subplot resolved. Rowdy and Donna begin reviewing the footage and identify the guard as a man named Shades, a real salty chap.
He's the one that pulled the trigger on the Molokai policeman.
You couldn't know that. Then they enjoy a very sensual lovemaking session. They must be married. After wiping themselves off, they continue to prepare for the morning, including a special surprise. Meanwhile, Edie is getting straight up tortured for information regarding the diamonds. Remember that? Since they aren't getting anywhere with her because she doesn't know anything, they end up calling in Rosie to leverage her unique skills and talents. Honestly, I think I see a lot of myself in her, and she apparently takes Edie for a ride. The rising sun finds Rowdy donning his finest high-cut bikini briefs and emerging among the brush-covered dunes as Shade summons forth his daily discus partner. Rowdy interjects here, which is not appreciated until he demonstrates that he has sufficient talent to hang with the big dog. He sends Catherine away for her own safety, under threat of gun, and just so there's no hard feelings about it,
Got a great ass.
Aw, that's flattering. Perfect example of life lesson rule 115. Always add a little sugar to your coffee. He then switches out with his special toy disguised as a competition-level tosser and obliterates Shades, leaving him bleeding on the beach and looking like an absolute turkey. He then gives the high sign so Donna can zoom in on her glidocopter, while the others take a more traditional mode of transport. They take up positions and begin a turn-based game of destroying each other's personal property, with Seth's goon clearly coming out on top until Jade, in observance of Rule 98, the first cheater always wins in games of death, violates the turn order and blows out the henchman's lung. Taryn manages to score her first kill on Michael, and it is as delicious as she imagined it would be. Meanwhile, Jade finds himself in a one-on-one scenario. The 2 brothers in karate are evenly matched, but the henchman ruins it by destroying Jade's special beads. This causes him to break out the tiger claws, and after a witty one-liner,
And then you die.
he does that. In another room, Rowdy frees Edie with a close-range bazooka explosion, and Jade makes some crass sexual remarks to his paramour while she's still tied up and all sweaty from the torture. The remaining guards hover overhead in their helicopter just long enough to get blasted. Donna scolds Taryn for the pleasure she takes in harming others, and then the mission is wrapped up since the objective was simple mass murder. But on the way back, they realize,
Who got that bastard Seth?
so Rowdy blows out the back to go take care of unfinished business. Unfortunately, that business happens to be creeping on Donna in her bedroom. She tucks away into a closet, but you already know he intends to stab his way in. Luckily, he wants to remove every slat to ensure he avoids getting a splinter, because it gives her enough time to load up the harpoon gun and bag herself a trophy catch. While he's busy squirting, she jerks him around and finally begins to understand what Taryn finds joyful about gratuitous violence. She ices down to help speed up her recovery while Romero comes back from the dead. But she knows it, and after a brief struggle, she apparently finishes the job again. If you thought hanging out around the toilet might be relaxing, or a dude who needs to be finished 3 times in one night was annoying, sometimes fate comes together in your favor and all you have to do is sit back and allow nature to take its course. Just in case there was a giant snake slithering around, Rowdy busts in like the Kool-Aid Man and uses another short-range rocket to do his dirty business. When all is said and done, the various couplings of secret agents, sportcasters, and restaurateurs all roll up on Chang's penthouse for a couple final brutalizations on behalf of the US government, sending Chang out the window so he has time to ponder what he did. In the excitement, Donna nearly blows her lover's face through the back of his head, and then they're all vacationing on the Malibu Express, which is another movie in the series. Taryn reveals, as the only one who both knows the location of the lost diamond pouch and is not actively employed by the federal government, that she is free to claim the diamonds and treat them all to the luxurious fruits of her good fortune, which is just good legal interpretation, really. If you want to see more Andy Sedaris, keep checking back. We're going to learn what we can for as long as we can. These movies are honestly very difficult to edit around. Andy was somewhat of an unrepentant pervert. Now that we're here, I want to congratulate you for making it to the end of the video and affirm that you are a very special person because of it. And if you enjoyed the video, I would love for you to become part of the channel by subscribing. Thanks for watching.